Hello,
Hi there.
my name is Sophia.
Well, my name is Matt Fullerton. I'm the endangered species biologist for the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. And so I coordinate endangered species projects throughout the state and work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to manage and monitor threatened and endangered species.
Thank you for taking your time for this interview. Our class is
Welcome.
learning about bats, and I have a few questions about the gray bat in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Is the gray bat endangered?
It is endangered.
Do you know approximately how many gray bats are left in Oklahoma?
Well, so that's a good question. So gray bats are migratory. So they're only in Oklahoma during the summertime. So we have between 7 and 9 summer roosting sites in Oklahoma. And so what they do is they during spring they come here in the springtime, and they have their babies here. They raise their babies and they hang out through the summer and kind of forage on insects, and then they migrate in late fall to what are called hibernacula, so overwintering sites, and those are in like Tennessee, Missouri, and Arkansas mostly. And so we don't know how many. We actually have several thousand. There's actually several 100,000 gray bats.
What do gray bats eat, and do they use echolocation?
They do use echolocation, and they eat all kinds of flying insects. So gray bats like to forage over water. So a lot of times, like a cave will be located that they like will be located near like a lake or a river, and they eat any kind of flying insects. So like caddisflies, mayflies, which are like insects that have part of their life cycle in the water, and then the adults come out on land and fly around. So, and moths as well.
Do gray bats have a natural predator in Oklahoma?
They do. So hawks and owls will eat gray bats. Actually, that's probably one of their main predators, and then also snakes. So you'll have like rat snakes that like to climb. They'll occasionally eat sleeping gray bats. But during the nighttime, probably owls probably is their top predator.
Do gray bats ever bite humans, and can they carry rabies?
They can carry rabies and they can bite humans, but a wild gray bat will never harm a human unless you were to, go into a cave and then, try to grab one or physically pick it up. Otherwise they're off flying, minding their own business in the woods, but they can carry rabies. And in fact, all bats can carry rabies.
Does the gray bat hibernate?
It does hibernate, yes. And so we actually do have a small handful of gray bats that are occasionally found here during the wintertime, but I would say over 95% of the population moves out of the state to hibernate. And no one really knows why. It's kind of strange. It's not really like a north-south migration like birds. It's sort of like a west to east migration. So for whatever reason, the caves here in Oklahoma generally are not what they prefer to hibernate in, just to basically raise their babies in during spring and summer.
Mm-hmm. What is the average lifespan of the gray bat?
Oh, that's a good question. Bats are very long-lived, actually. It's kind of surprising how long-lived bats can be, but bats can live between 10 and 20 years easily. They're not like mice. Like a mouse typically has lots of babies, and then they have a very short lifespan. Bats actually have just a pretty low reproductive rate. Gray bats only have one baby a year, but they can live several years. They have a pretty long lifespan.
And my last question, are there any other interesting facts you may know about the gray bat in Oklahoma?
Also, I have two interesting facts. So they can congregate in the hundreds of thousands in a cave. So there are some caves in Oklahoma that can have anywhere from tens of thousands of bats to over 100,000 bats. And also what's interesting is because they use caves near water, if their cave becomes flooded, they can actually move out of that cave and find an alternative cave. So they can actually kind of escape like a flood event and move to a different cave as sort of an alternate site for the season. So other than that, they're cool, just like all bats are cool. But yeah, it's interesting how they only use certain kinds of caves, and they're only found in just like a small number of caves. And unlike many threatened and endangered species that have been listed as endangered due to like habitat loss or overhunting, the gray bat has just always had a pretty small range, pretty narrow habitat requirements, and because of that, that was just the reason why it was listed as endangered.
Well, thank you for letting me come.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.